An unknown player just walked up to Carlos Alcaraz at the net after losing to him in Doha. What should have been a standard handshake and good match turned into something completely different. Something that made Alcaraz stop. Something that's now circulating through the tennis world because of how bold, how confident, how absolutely audacious it was for a player ranked 60th in the world to say to the world number one. This wasn't congratulations. This wasn't respect. This was a declaration of war. A promise. A timeline. And Alcaraz's response? It wasn't dismissive. It wasn't condescending. It was the reaction of a champion who just recognized a future threat. What exactly did Valentin Royer say that has everyone talking? And why did it make Alcaraz take him seriously instead of laughing it off? The match itself set the stage for that moment at the net. This wasn't supposed to be competitive. Alcaraz is the world number one. He'd just completed the career Grand Slam 2 weeks earlier at the Australian Open, becoming the youngest man in history to win all 4 majors. He's won 9 straight matches to start 2026. He's on a 27-match winning streak on outdoor hard courts dating back to Cincinnati last August. The guy is playing tennis at a level that's almost unfair to everyone else on tour. Valentin Royer? He's ranked 60th in the world. Career high ranking is 56. He's won 1 ATP title in his career, Florence in 2022. He's never been past the second round of a Grand Slam. On paper, this should have been a formality. Alcaraz cruises through in straight sets, barely breaks a sweat, moves on to face someone more challenging in the quarterfinals. But that's not what happened. Alcaraz took the first set 6-2 in just 34 minutes. Standard stuff. The script was playing out as expected. Then the second set started, and Royer decided he wasn't content to be a footnote in Alcaraz's march to another tournament title. He broke Alcaraz in the 4th game. Held serve. Broke again. Suddenly, he was up 4-1, and serving with a real chance to force a third set. At 5-2, he was serving for the set. 1 service game away from extending the match. 1 game away from making the world number one genuinely uncomfortable. Alcaraz was facing a potential third set. He admitted as much afterward. There were some moments when I thought about a third set. I'm not going to lie, but obviously it was just a small place in my mind that was thinking that. The rest was working to find solutions, to find the right way again. That phrasing, a small place in my mind, is revealing. Because even champions feel doubt when things aren't going their way. The difference is they don't let that doubt consume them. Alcaraz acknowledged the possibility of losing the set, while simultaneously working on the solution. That's elite mentality. But Royer had created that doubt. A player ranked 60th in the world had the world number one worried about a third set. That's not nothing. What happened next was pure Alcaraz magic. He broke back at 2-5. Held serve to get to 4-5, then produced 2 stunning passing shots to break again, and level at 5-5. 3 straight games turned into 5 straight games, as he closed out the set 7-5 without dropping another game. The comeback was clinical, almost ruthless in its efficiency. But it required maximum effort. This wasn't Alcaraz coasting. This was Alcaraz having to dig deep, find solutions, execute under pressure. Royer had pushed him there. And that's the context for what happened at the net. Royer had just lost. But he hadn't been demolished. He'd taken Alcaraz to the edge of a third set. He'd forced the champion to show his absolute best tennis to escape. That gives you confidence. That makes you believe you belong on the same court as the elite. So when they met at the net for the handshake, Royer didn't just offer congratulations. He made a promise. I'll come to you and Jannik, don't worry. Someday. Think about the boldness of that statement. He's specifically naming the 2 best players in the world. Not saying, I'll keep improving, or, I'll try to get better. He's saying I will reach your level. I will be competing with you for Grand Slams and Masters, 1,000 titles. I will be in the conversation. That takes serious self-belief. Because most players ranked 60th don't genuinely believe they'll reach world number one level. They hope. They dream. But deep down, they're not sure. The gap between top 60 and top 2 is enormous. The difference in consistency, mental strength, physical conditioning, shot-making ability. It's massive. But Royer said it out loud. Not privately to his coach or team. To Alcaraz himself. I'll come to you and Jannik. That's either delusional confidence or legitimate belief in his own trajectory. And based on Alcaraz's response, it seems like the latter. I will wait for you, man. That's not what you say to someone making an empty boast. That's what you say to someone you respect. To someone who just gave you a genuine fight and earned consideration as a future threat. Alcaraz didn't laugh it off, didn't treat it as a joke. He took it seriously. That respect says everything about both players. Alcaraz recognizes legitimate talent when he sees it. He knows Royer played well enough in that second set to be dangerous. And Royer has the self-awareness to know that despite losing, he competed well enough to make his declaration credible rather than laughable. The question becomes, can Royer actually deliver on that promise? Can a 24-year-old ranked 60th climb to the level where he's regularly competing with Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner for the biggest titles in tennis? Let's examine his story, because it's more interesting than most fans realize. Royer was born in Neuilly-sur-Seine, France, in 2001. But his tennis education happened in Eastern Europe, which is unusual for a French player. The French tennis system has its own well-established academies and development pathways. But Royer took a different route, training extensively in Eastern Europe, which shaped his game in distinctive ways. His playing style doesn't fit traditional French tennis stereotypes. French players are often associated with finesse, touch, variety. Think Gasquet's backhand or Monfils's athleticism and creativity. But Royer plays power tennis. Flat shots from both wings. Aggressive baseline positioning. He wants to dominate opponents with pace and depth, wearing them down until they crack. It's 21st century tennis, the style that Djokovic popularized, and that Sinner has perfected. That similarity to Sinner isn't coincidental. Royer is modeling his game after the players who are succeeding at the highest level right now. He's not trying to reinvent tennis with some unique style. He's looking at what works. Powerful flat ground strokes, consistent depth, minimal weaknesses, and building his game around those principles. At 6 feet 2 inches, he has enough size to generate power. His shots benefit from that height, allowing him to hit through the court with heavy pace. The goal is to be a power hammer, as one reporter described it, finding short balls and crushing them before opponents can recover. That strategy worked remarkably well against Alcaraz in the second set. When Royer was hitting cleanly and taking the ball early, he was dictating points. Alcaraz was having to defend, which is uncomfortable for someone who prefers to control rallies. 4 stretches of that second set, Royer was out Alcaraz, being more aggressive, hitting bigger, taking charge. Obviously, it didn't last. Alcaraz adjusted, raised his level, and closed out the match. But the fact that Royer could sustain that level of tennis for a full set against the world number 1 suggests real quality. This isn't some journeyman who got hot for a few games. This is someone with legitimate firepower who can threaten top players when everything clicks. The career trajectory supports that assessment. Royer broke through in 2022 with 2 challenger titles in Rwanda, of all places. That might sound exotic or random, but winning challenges in Africa showed he could perform in less than ideal conditions, away from home support, with travel complications and unfamiliar environments. That's character-building tennis. He won his first ATP title at Florence in 2022, beating established players to claim the trophy. His ranking climbed steadily from outside the top 200 in 2021 to a career-high 56 in late 2025. That's organic progression. No dramatic spike followed by regression. Just consistent improvement year over year. Now in 2026, at age 24, he's ranked 60th and just moved up to 53rd after the Doha performance. The timetable makes sense. Most players peak between 24 to 28 years old. Royer is entering his prime physical years. If he continues improving technically and tactically, there's no reason he can't crack the top 30, maybe even top 20. Can he reach top 5? Can he actually compete regularly with Alcaraz and Sinner? That's the enormous question his net cord declaration raises. Let's be realistic about the gap. Alcaraz has won 7 Grand Slams. Sinner has 4. They've split the last 9 majors between them. They've both beaten Djokovic in Grand Slam finals. They're not just good. They're historically great. The level of tennis they play consistently is something we've only seen from the big 3. Royer would need to improve dramatically to reach that level. His first serve would need to become more reliable. His return game would need significant upgrades. His mental strength in tight moments would need to match theirs. And he'd need to maintain that level week after week, tournament after tournament for years. That's asking a lot. Most players never make that jump. The tour is littered with talented players ranked 30 to 60 who never reach the elite tier. They win some matches, make some quarterfinals, have decent careers. But they never win Grand Slams or Masters 1000s. They never become threats to win the biggest titles. But Royer clearly believes he's different. And the statement at the net wasn't just about self-belief. It was a strategy. By declaring his intentions openly to Alcaraz, he's created accountability for himself. It's public record now. If he doesn't improve, if he stays stuck around ranking 60, people will remember that bold claim and view it as arrogance or delusion. That's pressure. But maybe that's exactly what Royer needs to push himself to the next level. Knowing that the world number one is literally waiting for him, expecting him to deliver on that promise. That could be motivating in ways private goals aren't. The Sinner comparison is particularly interesting because Sinner's own trajectory wasn't that different. He broke into the top 100 at age 18, reached top 50 at 19, top 20 at 20, top 10 at 21, then exploded to win Grand Slams at 22 to 23. The progression was relatively linear, but required consistent improvement at each stage. Royer is a bit behind that timetable. He's 24 and ranked 60th. Sinner at 24 was already world number one with multiple majors. But tennis development isn't one size fits all. Some players mature later. Some need more time to physically develop. Some take longer to figure out the mental side. If Royer can make the jump from 60 to top 30 over the next year, then top 20 the year after, suddenly he's in position to threaten at bigger tournaments. That's not impossible. Unlikely? Maybe. But not impossible. The fact that he's already taking sets off Alcaraz suggests the potential is there. It's not like he got demolished 6-1, 6-1, and then made his declaration. He actually competed. He actually forced Alcaraz to play high-level tennis to win. That's the foundation you need to believe bigger things are possible. The broader context of men's tennis also matters. Because while Alcaraz and Sinner are dominating now, they can't win every tournament. They'll have off weeks. They'll have injuries. They'll have draws where they meet each other early, and one has to lose. That creates opportunities for other players to sneak through. If Royer is consistently in the top 30, making quarterfinals at Masters 1000s, getting to second weeks of Grand Slams, eventually he'll catch Alcaraz or Sinner on an off day. Win that match, ride the confidence to the final, and suddenly you're a Masters 1000 champion. That changes everything. The ranking jumps. The seeding improves. The belief solidifies. That's probably the realistic path for Royer. Not overtaking Alcaraz and Sinner as the clear number 1 and 2, but becoming part of the conversation as a legitimate threat. Being in the group of players that Alcaraz and Sinner have to take seriously in draws. Being someone who can capitalize when opportunities arise. The psychological element of his net declaration is also worth examining. Because that statement wasn't just for Alcaraz. It was for himself. Saying something out loud makes it more real. Committing publicly to a goal increases the motivation to achieve it. Sports psychologists talk about approach goals versus avoidance goals. Approach goals are about moving towards something. I want to reach the top 10. Avoidance goals are about moving away from something. I don't want to lose ranking points. Research shows approach goals are more motivating and lead to better performance. Royer's declaration was pure approach goal. I will come for you. Not, I hope to maybe improve, or I'll try to avoid staying at this ranking. Definitive. Directional. He's moving toward Alcaraz and Sinner, not away from mediocrity. That mindset shift could be the difference between a player who plateaus at ranking 50 and one who breaks through to the elite level. Because the top of tennis isn't just about physical skills. It's about believing you belong there. About walking onto court against the best players in the world and genuinely thinking you can win. Not hoping. Not trying your best. Knowing you can compete. Royer's statement suggests he has that belief. Whether he can back it up with results remains to be seen. But the fact that he has the confidence to say it to Alcaraz's face is significant. The tennis world will be watching Royer's career trajectory more closely now. That declaration created a narrative. Sports fans love narratives. The underdog chasing the champion. The bold promise that might or might not come true. The David versus Goliath dynamic. Royer has inserted himself into that story. If he makes a Grand Slam quarterfinal in the next year, people will reference that Doha moment. Remember when he told Alcaraz he was coming for him? He's actually doing it. If he reaches a Masters 1000 final, the narrative intensifies. The kid who promised he'd reach their level is getting close. And if he ever beats Alcaraz or Sinner at a major tournament, the story completes itself. He said he would, and he did. Of course, the opposite narrative is possible too. If Royer stays ranked 50 to 70 for the next few years, never making deep runs at big tournaments, the declaration becomes cautionary tale. Remember the guy who told Alcaraz he'd reach his level? He never did. That would be harsh but fair. That's the risk Royer took by making his intentions public. But maybe he's smart enough to know that the potential upside, the motivation, the narrative, the accountability, outweighs the risk of looking foolish if he doesn't deliver. Alcaraz's response, "I will wait for you, man," also deserves more analysis. Because that's classy. He could have been dismissive. Could have said something like, "Sure, keep dreaming," or just smiled politely without engaging. Instead, he took Royer seriously, validated the declaration with genuine respect. That's championship behavior. Real champions aren't threatened by ambitious challenges. They welcome the competition because they know it makes them better. Alcaraz saying he'll wait for Royer is essentially saying, "I hope you do reach this level, because I want to play the best opponents possible." It's the same attitude Alcaraz expressed about Sinner being in tournament draws, that it motivates him to play better. He's not trying to avoid competition. He's seeking it out. And when someone like Royer declares they want to join that elite group, Alcaraz encourages it rather than dismissing it. That mindset is part of why Alcaraz is number one. He's not protecting his position by hoping others fail. He's elevating his game by embracing challenges. And if Royer actually does reach that level, Alcaraz will be better for having another elite opponent to compete against. The interaction also shows healthy respect between players of different rankings. Tennis can be hierarchical, with top players sometimes treating lower-ranked players dismissively. But Alcaraz clearly respects anyone who competes well against him. Royer earned that respect by playing quality tennis, and Alcaraz acknowledged it. Looking forward, the next few years of Royer's career will be fascinating to track. Will he make the leap from good player to elite player? Will he become someone who regularly threatens at big tournaments? Will he deliver on the promise he made at the net in Doha? The odds are against him. Most players don't make that jump. But tennis history is full of players who defied expectations. Wawrinka won 3 Grand Slams after age 28, when most people thought he'd never win a major. Del Potro beat Federer and Nadal back-to-back at age 20 despite being ranked 6th. Cilic won the US Open as a 14th seed. The underdog stories do happen. Royer has given himself a chance by competing well against Alcaraz and declaring his intentions openly. Now he needs to follow through, improve his ranking, make deeper runs at tournaments, win an ATP title this year, make a Grand Slam quarterfinal, build the resume that makes his declaration look prescient rather than presumptuous. The statement itself, "I'll come to you and Jannik, don't worry," someday, will echo for years. Every time Royer plays a big match, especially against Alcaraz or Sinner, that quote will resurface. It's his public commitment to excellence, his line in the sand, his promise to himself and to the tennis world. Whether he delivers on that promise is now one of the more interesting subplots in men's tennis. Because we all love a good underdog story. We all want to see someone overcome the odds and achieve something most people thought impossible. And Royer has positioned himself as exactly that character. He's not there yet. He's got a long way to go, but he believes he'll get there. Alcaraz believes he might get there. And now we're all waiting to see if he actually does. I will wait for you, man. The ball is in Royer's court. Time to see if he can live up to the promise he made at the net in Doha.